Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to today's edition of Prime Hour. We this day are going to be looking at the situation at the level of Canada, where the Subcommittee on International Human Rights of the House of Commons of Canada are calling on their government. They are calling on the House of Commons to press on the government of Canada to look into what is ongoing in the Northwest and Southwest region and to bring authors of atrocities to book and to use its international influence as a member of Commonwealth and La Francophonie like Cameroon to press on the government of Cameroon to ensure that there is a full respect of a ceasefire in the troubled English-speaking regions of Cameroon. We also are going to be looking at what is happening out there in the West African nation of Senegal, where the youths have been on the streets demanding the release of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. A thing that was done yesterday. We look at what lessons to draw out of the political standoff. Many people are already describing Senegal as an example of democracy, not only for French African countries, but the African continent as a whole. We are going to be discussing these two topics with our panelists who already are seated in the house. Far Evis Tayon is a militant of the CRM movement, a political analyst. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Kumbluna. Good evening to Apostle Ambe and the level-headed thousands of viewers who are watching us wherever they are. Good things to the people of Gunoko Village as usual, and to His Royal Majesty Dr. Fomiki Waters and His Royal Majesty von Barbit, who have always been within Mbemi and Gunoko Village for developmental issues. I think that it's a pleasure being here, and we will be contributing our modest ideas to make sure that we put some ideas across whereby we can learn some lessons from what is transpiring in world politics.
Also with us is Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, who is a consultant with the House. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening, my co-panelist, Far Evis Tayon, the kangaroo man. Good evening, millions of televiewers of Prime Hour. We are here again to educate Cameroonians, Africa, and the world at large. Thank you for the privilege to educate you. God bless you.
We await the arrival of Prince Joel and that of Malamfe Robert Kedia, representing the CPDM party, on today's edition of the program. I'll start by sending the special greetings to you, Didi Banderas. If you know where you can have the best of moments in Kumba, then you must visit the Banga School. Go to Banga School, you have the best in Kumba. Didi Banderas accepts my greetings, and we are going to start our program out here with you, Far Evis Tayon, the Subcommittee on International Human Rights of the House of Commons, Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs and International Development in Canada, is making a press. They had a press release that was made public on the 1st of March 2021. I would like us to look at some of the things that are expressed in this release, and then we are going to be discussing on it. The subcommittee concluded that since the root causes of the crisis continue to be ignored, there is no end to hostilities in sight. You have the feeling that the root causes have been ignored this far, even with what the government has been doing?
Well, I think I went through the reports from that subcommittee on human rights in the House of Commons in Canada. It was more of a square peg in a square hole.
Okay.
You remember that for us with President Maurice Kamto and the CRM, we had been also in the limelight insisting that the war in the Northwest and the Southwest must be brought to an end at all cost. You even realized that we had to even forgo part of the, we had to forgo an election because we were revindicating that the crisis in the North and the South must be brought to an end. Now, with the subcommittee on human rights coming in, they are simply calling the shots the way it's supposed to be. You realize that in the course of the crisis, 4 years and above, We've had a lot of plagiarism. We've had a lot of lies telling on the part of the ruling party and the members of government. You remember, and you bear with me, that of recent, a high-profile member of government was in the northwest region of recent, who said the government has already defeated the separatist fighters. And just a few days after, we had death toll and attacks that came in, up to the extent that we lost a captain, a senior official in the military in Kumbo. So you could discover that all along the line, the government does not mean well to bring the crisis to an end. And that explains why, when you look at the subcommittee talking, they have been able to put in place parameters. They have been able to talk with witnesses on the ground. They have been able to get facts from various agencies on the ground to ascertain the magnitude of the situation. And I think that we will always be honest to say that the crisis where we are is still far-fetched from being over. We have been able to tell others that if you don't tackle the root cause of this crisis, you don't put in place the necessary measures to bring the crisis to an end, we will simply be rigmaroling. And that is just what Yaoundé regime has been doing. They want to take shortcut to go to heaven, not knowing that there is no shortcut to heaven. Either you give your life to Christ, you believe and follow the principles and move to heaven, or you don't even believe at all, and then you become a member of Lucifer's kingdom. But that's what Yaoundé regime is doing. And we'll keep reminding them that as a kangaroo system, that the thing that they are so intelligent, the worrying factor is that in a kangaroo system, people are not willing to address the root causes in total, but others out of the country are feeling the pains for us. This is the House of Commons talking about the plight of children who are supposed to go to school. And yet, you find the government bench going around giving mattresses, bags of rice and all the like, as if that is what solves the problem now. Now, Mr. Leo, many people are still to come to term. If I tell you that the cost of going to school in Douala and Yaoundé is far above the capacity of others who cannot afford, from where they're coming from, you will not believe it.
Yeah, the majority.
Now, the majority, so to say. So you realize here that for those who manage to come, some are living under precarious conditions because they want to see if they could get that education by all means. Now you have small schools around that were not even bilingual, that become bilingual overnight. They are choked up with COVID-19 and everything. So danger is around the corner. So the House of Commons has done just exactly what is there. What they have described in their entire press release is the succinct truth of the realities on the ground. Unfortunately, I'm still waiting for the CPDM member who is coming here, because we are where we are today caused by this kind of guys who have been telling lies day in, day out, that the situation is under control, children are now going to school and all the like. But these are the precarious situations we find here. So we think that it is a square peg in a square hole, and we will still come back to throw more light on that report, which is the exact thing that the kangaroo system has been hiding for so long.
Okay, Apostle Valentine Ambi, the release also states that tragically, the situation in Cameroon has not improved, as summarized by one witness. Do you also think that nothing has improved?
Well, we cannot make conclusions that nothing has improved. As much as the crisis is still maintained, some measures have been taken so far, but what they have done is not good enough. Because, like Mr. Farr said, the whole situation is built on a foundation of lies. Lies, and I keep saying that until we get back to the truth, we will never be free from this crisis. There's so much lie told, even on both sides. And these lies are supposed to be corrected if this discussion must go forward. The bad thing is that sometimes, even when we are wrong, we do not acknowledge the fact that we are wrong. A situation is not solved when one person owns up that he is wrong. It's when both parties acknowledge their errors. As much as this crisis has delayed for 4 years now, the reports we have had from the government concerning the crisis have not been true. The Minister of Territorial Administration visited Bafut recently, and when he came back, he said, the President Pobia has won the war. That was his statement, and I repeat it as he said it. Yesterday in Bamenda, gunshots were everywhere. Today again, Bamenda, gunshots were everywhere. What kind of war did they win that the guys that claim to have won are still fighting till date? Humans. Bamenda was shut down today at 2:30 in the afternoon. Everybody left the market square and all their business.
2:30 was started early, 9 o'clock. Things appear to have come back to normalcy,
Yes,
and then
2:30, everywhere was shut down. Now, this is within 24 hours. I'm talking fresh news. And the information that the government has won the war was passed by the Minister of Territorial Administration almost 2 weeks ago. How do you reconcile? That's why I said, if the truth is not told, it is very critical. We will keep on dancing the same Bafia dance and rigmaroling in this crisis until all human beings will be wiped out. Secondly, if we are saying that the crisis has come to an end, I think that the things that used to take place in the northern and south were supposed to go back to normalcy. But things are no more normal anymore. Everywhere is in total confusion. The land is in shambles. And we keep saying the crisis has come to an end. How do we acknowledge that a war has ended when people are still fighting, people are still dying, people are still displaced? The subcommittee recorded that about 700,000 Cameroonians have been displaced. Many are refugees. They were also worried about children not going to school. Most of the places in the northwest and the southwest, children are not going to school. So how do we explain that the crisis has come to an end? So I think the government should look into this matter again keenly and be able to give a lasting solution, because I think the cosmetic solutions proffered so far for this crisis have not been able to resolve the problem. Okay. The drama and the lies are too much. Truth be told.
Okay. The news release by the subcommittee on human rights says that what has been ongoing in the northwest and southwest region amounts to what it described as war crimes. Are people aware that they are committing war crimes? Are people aware that what they are committing out there are war crimes? Which, yes, to you, Prince Joel, who is just joining us.
Yeah, good evening to you, Leonard. Good evening to Apostle. Good evening to Fcfa. Friend, brother, good evening to the other panelists. Special good evening to Dr. Focalisus Gentry and to Honorable Ngala Gerard. I want to believe that what has been ongoing in the northwest and southwest is very true, that a lot of crimes has been ongoing in the northwest and the southwest region, because we've seen persons that have been butchered. The case in point is the case of Florence Ayafo, a wardress that was killed in Bamenda. We want to also feel that at one time the head of a teacher was seen somewhere around Tarikun, if I get it well. And we've also had situations like what happened recently in Du, where we saw a teacher that was flogged, malhandled, and it came out that it was done by men in uniform. So I feel that what has been ongoing in the two regions, it's excessive so far as the abuse of human rights is concerned. But we want to feel that the international community has seen it, and those within the country are also seeing it, are not ignorant of what is ongoing in the country. And I believe that we are 2 days or 1 day to the parliamentary session. Yeah, we just believe that it should come up in the parliament, and that the excessive killing and what has been ongoing in these two regions in the country, like Apostle was saying, it's really not very good, Mr. Kum, because I remember one time in Moyoka, a child was killed, Matambu's child, and one time in Mother Francisca College in Kumba, 7 children were killed. And these things keep happening every day in the northwest and the southwest. These are the ones you and I see. What about those that do not come to limelight? It occurs in both sides, because both in the military and in the other hand, I was discussing with a colleague who is of the profession in Yaoundé, and you would not believe, it's not only with the separatists, Mr. Leonard. On the other hand, too, those in the uniform, those trained, they also suffer. Because if you go to their camps, it's very true that when you go there, they want to say that you should stay within the confines and you should not expose military secrets. But the military too does suffer. But now, this man is suffering, the other man is suffering. I'm one of those who've always said on platforms like this that instead of advocating, war doesn't have any benefit, Mr. Leonard. If I'm fighting with Kum Leonard today, at the end of the day, Kum is a big brother. Kum is going to beat me. If Kum doesn't beat me, certain advantages I used to tap from him, I'm going to lose other advantages. So if today we have Northwest, Southwest, and the separatists as well as the military, no government will want to give and say, okay, you, the separatists, you won. It has never existed. Now, the separatists, on the other hand, who are also holding tight that no, we believe that we have a genuine cause that want to push it till the end. But now, at the end of the day, who is losing is a common man. Because some poor parents who used to be in my poor village in Misaje, those who used to be in mile 16 in Boya, they are displaced. And they have found themselves where it's not their areas. And life is not the way it used to be, Mr. Leonard. If I take away Leonard today from Douala, I want to believe that when you left Boya, came to Douala, it took time. Even geography, I think economics, in what they call geographical mobility of labor, they talk about the fact that once a worker is transferred from one area to another, there is this issue of adaptability. It's not easy. You need to adapt. So these mothers who left, I believe sometime when I was here last week ago, I said that I met one mama in mile 16 who I saw her when we were growing. We used to buy what they call throwaway, this dry fish, the fish. We used to buy throwaway from her. She's someone I met her the other day around Rai in Bonaberry.
I met her too.
Thank you very much. Then
She's
you and I
fair.
speak the same language.
Yes, I met her.
You and I, given that we're from the same area. Now, when I met her, the story is not the same. Even if she sells 20,000 based in Rai, it's not the same story.
She's not at home.
She's not at home. That's the issue she told me. Now, the issue is, that's what we keep saying on platforms like this, Ms. Aliu, that let us look for a way to strike the balance. The balance is at the wash end. So that this mama, like so many of our mamas, goes back to Boya. Some of those who left Womb, who left Isu, who left Misaje Ingenuku, who left those villages, Bati, Bo, Bafut, they want to go back. I was in Yaoundé, I saw so many of them. I saw many in Nobili, I saw so many. Life is not easy with them. And now, because of what is ongoing in Northwest and the Southwest, Ms. Aliu, a lot of employers are abusing the labor code. They take people and they give them 15,000, 10,000. I met a young lady who was selling in a snack. All she needs to do is to pick bottles. And all she needs is that at the end of the day, let her have something to eat.
Okay. Good evening to you, Ta Jacob Rice Wood. Good evening to you, Songaya Asong and Ephraim Te. Ta Jacob Giberto Salo. Tukov Isidore Veranso. Good evening to you. And to you, Smith Bright and Stefan Iwane. Zil Zelos. Good evening to you, Amos Ngui. You are watching live from Bambili. And J. Teddy Rani. Good evening to you, Dom Aziz Njito. And to you, Njeme David Enene Alain. Good evening to you, Seseko Oscar. And to you, Epie Dennis Ebongash. And to you, Jack Shigo. Deep Dambe Ebota. Good evening to you, Ike Mu Giwe. And to you, Vedzekov Silas. Good evening to all of you watching us on social media. We have just been joined by Robert Malanfe, who is Kedia, who is here with us. Robert, the release further states that witnesses, including an academic and people with regional experience, shared horrific stories of mass killings, forced disappearances, torture, burning, and worse forms of sexual violence. Since 2017, more than 700 civilians have been forcibly displaced from their homes, with over 60,000 refugees fleeing to neighboring Nigeria. Anyway, they raised the issue of children in these English-speaking regions, including children not going to school. Quite alarming. He raised the issue that of a mama who is suffering in Douala, who would love to go back, but there are many children, according to this news release, who cannot go to school because of the war.
Firstly, I'll have to greet the head of state, and greetings to you, Com Leonard, greetings to my co-panelists, and greeting to all Cameroonians watching us here, especially Honorable Queston Jingu Musa, who is there present in Yaoundé. I know he told me he will be following up this program. We've seen all what the Canadian House have said. We've seen what all other houses have said. But we've been seeing that they have been saying that, but the most important thing is that us Cameroonians, we are the ones to decide to bring back peace. Many people have their definition of the statement, Cameroon is a sovereign state. But the truth is, Cameroon is a sovereign state. If there is peace, people will bring back peace. We have been citing all these, the killing of this, the killing of that. We've been naming all of them. But what is the way forward? The way forward is for us Cameroonians to keep on dialoguing, going towards peace. That is all. There is nothing we can say, oh, go ahead, come back. That is the truth. It's about us Cameroonians. We first of all go there. Those that have picked up weapon against the state, are they supposed to have weapon? No, they should drop the weapon. If people like, they go ahead singing. Who is the state to ask them to drop weapon? We are there. This is 4 years. When we are realistic to tell them to drop the weapon, they will drop it and we'll get to peace. I want to appreciate all those villagers that have been honest to themselves, that have stood up and sent out these guys with guns in their village. I appreciate them. I appreciate also all those that have picked up weapon, that they have dropped their weapon, especially the general guy in Kumba that dropped his arm of recent. I appreciate them. He has received the light of the republic and he's coming closer to the state and being a Republican. And that is what we want. If these guys can drop all this their weapon, then us Cameroonians will keep on discussing and dialoguing. These children are not going to school. They are our relative. The 3,000 that have fallen, they are our relative. We all know them. They need to go back to school. It's not something that we are negotiating. Education is a fundamental human right that they don't negotiate about it. So these children need to go back to school. And who are those disturbing these children not to go back to school? We know that these guys that pick up weapons were the ones that say these children should not go to school. And the government have been trying that they should go back to school. If you want to fight for whatever nonsense you are fighting, you are free to fight. But ensure that you don't smash another person's fundamental right, which is the right of these children to go back to school, which all of us, we must promote, we must appreciate. It will be very, very shameful when we talk as hypocrites. We keep on singing when children of other people are not going to school. And even some of us that we talk all over, we are in TV houses, we are in radio houses, we go around, our children are across the Mongo going to school very well. When we come, we will not tell people to drop arms so that those in the villages, their children should go back to school. We are hypocritic. Why should the government ask them to drop weapon? Did the government give the weapon? No, the government need to negotiate with them. Pulling on the rope and the time is going and your own children are going to school while that of the poor people are suffering. That's the hypocrisy we see ourselves inside. It is a pity, it's a shame, but the way forward is for us to be realistic, drop on the weapon. You are free. If your ideology is federalism, you are free. Whatsoever thing you want, you are free. But separation and picking up of arms is non-negotiable. Anything you want, you are free to go to the street to say, this is what I want, that is it, yes. But picking up arms is non-negotiable. Separation is non-negotiable.
Okay. Apostle Ambi Valentine Ngoa, the release also states that witnesses lamented the fact that this is a neglected crisis. Neglected crisis, when we listen to the U.S. Senate, it was the same. U.S. Congress, the same. Almost everybody is saying it is a neglected crisis. Neglected by who? They are saying it and they say it is neglected. Who should see it?
You see, when it comes to international relations and international law, every country is considered sovereign. You don't just break into somebody's house. My daughter could be married to somebody. She is my daughter, but I have no right to barge into her house. That's international law. Now, until the man begins to abuse my daughter to a greater extent, I cannot violate the protocol to save the life of the person in question. So let's begin by, first of all, questioning the parliament we have in Cameroon. If the case is neglected, it's because our parliament, that's supposed to be the voice of the masses, the helpless people, we're supposed to be the one to have raised this issue in the parliament. 4 years running, our parliamentarians have not mentioned this issue in the parliament. We have a Senate, we have a parliament that is docile, inactive, and very irresponsible. Now, when they sit in that gathering and they are unable to raise up things that eats the nation, the very fabrics of the nation, it means we are having, like my brother will say, kangaroo parliament, where people are just gathered there to sing chants of a particular messiah and is being worshipped. The people don't discuss pertinent issues that bites the very marrow of the nation. That is the first we'll say the crisis is neglected. Number two, that we address the crisis in Nigeria. We are going to talk neglecting the crisis at the international level. We have a Senate equally. That Senate, we don't even know the purpose that the Senate was created. As it stands today, I'm yet to find out what the Senate has done since it was created. It's like they created a platform to give employment to certain people who were disgruntled by the nation. So that platform has been created for them to be fed. They are just there to collect money and to sit. I don't know if the senators are going to be offended, but I'm a Cameroonian who understands the whims and caprices of our Senate in this country, and I have to address it the way it is. The Senate has been quiet. The next we have to talk about is that the elites. The elites of this region, who happen to be the ones that are supposed to be the voice of the voiceless. They have been cotton has been stuck in their ears and finances stuck in their mouth. They can no longer hear nor speak. Now, if the elites themselves cannot stand to defend the very essence of the people they claim to represent, then I'm telling you that the elites have failed us, the Senate has failed us, and the Parliament has failed us. Those are the three things I will analyze to tell you that at the national level, the crisis is most neglected. At the international level, Cameroon is part of La Francophonie, and Cameroon is part of Commonwealth, the same with Canada. Canada is coming up because as a member of La Francophonie and Commonwealth, they think they have a stay to ginger the international multilateral cooperation in order to resolve the crisis. But this particular situation in Cameroon, being a member of La Francophonie boss has come to this Cameroon. They stuck finances in their mouth and their hands, they could not speak. He that fits you controls your tongue. The Commonwealth came here, particularly Scotland came here and sang songs and chants. They gave them prices at a tudi. How can somebody who came to control a crisis in the North and Southwest end in Yaoundé?
No, she was in Boya.
No, she was in Boya. She was in Boya at the lodge where she was lodged and fed. She didn't go to the field. Don't tell me about Boya. Boya can be anywhere. It can be anywhere. Let's not begin to dig down on this platform. The UN Secretary General came to this country. They gave him a golden medal, and he collected the medal and went back. On another occasion is the president, the chairman of the AU, Musa Faki, came to this country, neglected. Then now the United Nations is writing and saying that the American Senate, wrote and said that the AU should consult the UN, let the UN intervene in Cameroon. I'm trying to find out whether triangular slave trade is still going on in Africa. Because this is triangular slave trade, it will UN that will tell AU to write. Is it carrying slave from Africa to America, America to Europe, and then back to Africa? So at the international level, it has been neglected. At the national level, it has been neglected. Now, the challenge we have is this: is the common man that has the final say. I used to tell people that when you are caught in between and the devil and the deep blue sea, it is your decision that will make you either survive or you die. The Cameroonians who are the ones caught in between the anvil and the hammer are the ones to make a decision to put the government and the separatists on their knees to make sure the common man does not suffer. So I give you this analysis because I can, with all surety and clarity, this crisis has been neglected both at the national and the international level.
Okay, the subcommittee shares the view of witnesses that the situation needs urgent attention. Urgent attention from who? From the persons that he enumerated as having neglected the same crisis?
Well, when we talk about urgent attention here, you know, it's like you throw the ball to the you throw the ball in the field for it to find its way. Now, for the issue of urgent attention is supposed to come first from the national level. But because those who have the knife and the yam have refused. Remember, there's a conflict between two main parties we have here. But one party has an upper hand to decide whether the other party will follow suit or not. This has to do with the government that has an upper hand in ensuring that the crisis is brought to an end. Now that the government is failing, 4 years and above running, now that the government keeps putting in place cosmetic measures, which we now see that the government or the Yaoundé regime and the people who are supporting that, including the CPDM and my friend here, because they are not willing an inch, accompanied by the Senate, that is mute, National Assembly, mute, till now that I'm talking. It therefore means that nationwide or national-wise, they are not willing to solve it. Therefore, the board now needs other attention. How does it come about? Now from the international scene. I have told people over and over, and I'll keep saying that, from every indication, because the press release talks about the root cause of the situation, or the root cause of the problem has not been addressed, as it said. you realize that that is the fundamental truth of the whole show. Now, what we are saying here is simple. Because it needs urgent attention, those to come in and were supposed to come in from the national level are not willing. It simply means that those from the external level have to be pushed to come in. If anybody daydreams that this solution can be brought in by Yaoundé regime, it cannot go. Why is it so? Because Yaoundé regime knows that there are pertinent issues at the level of the foundation that if it is brought to table, it will affect some of them sitting there. That is why you hear my brother here singing songs from morning to night that people should deposit their arms, they should drop their arms and all the like. But it's failing to address the root cause of the issue. This is the problem with the kangaroo system. People come on air and they blow grammar from left to right as if all is well. But people are dying on the ground day in, day out, and guns are raging in the air as we found in Bamenda yesterday and today. So, at the end of it, I'm happy he said something that some people are talking when their children are not there in school. But you discover that some people are talking to when their children are there in those areas. My children are in Bamenda schooling as I speak. When there's gunshot, they run and come back and they call me, Daddy, run back. I say, stay there. Now, look at the situation. That as we speak, look at this elite that Apostle was pointing out.
Say, Daddy, don't do it.
Say, Daddy, don't bat. They tell me, Daddy, don't bat. When they come and say, what's happened? I said, just stay safe. Because where I am too, I cannot help the situation. But now look at the whole scenario. That as we look at this crisis, the powers that be, accompanied by CPDM regime persons, including Robert, blowing grammar here in the studio, are those who have said that they will only be blowing hot air above the sky, while the main things are beneath the table bubbling. Now look at it critically, that we have an issue. The international community will come in. I'm sorry to say that. We're talking about crimes against humanity. And I've made them to understand that when there's a conflict, in a case where children are raped, in the case where you have kind of killings and all kinds of human rights abuses or human rights violations, both parties come into play. But when they come into play, in a backed up military tribunal, I keep saying this, the punishment will not be the same. You, the government that has as responsibility to maintain peace and order, the moment you don't do it, you have a role, because most of the things we are finding here are offspring of bad governance. I know that before then, before 2016, there was nothing like Amber existing. No one in the CPDM regime, as they watch us from Yaoundé, ready to begin the parliamentary session tomorrow, where they'll be calculating their money, their associate allowances, and blowing other grammars irrelevant. Irrelevant. I'm telling them, irrelevant when people are dying. We're waiting for them. But not that in a nutshell. When we look at these issues, the main thing here is that some people are taking this thing for granted, while people are dying day in, day out. International community are the only ones who can come in. I am a Pan-Africanist. Of course, I share the view that if you have a problem, it should be able to be solved by you yourself, because when the international community comes in, they come with other strings attached to it. But in a case where I am married, and for example, my wife is beating me helter-skelter, and I don't have the courage to withstand her, I will call Prince Joy, that boy, run back, come in. Even if Prince Joy will come in, rescue me, and then tell me, but after this, please give me 5,000 francs for at least my shirt got bad when I was separating the fight. I will borrow that money and give, because if he did not come, I'm sure I should have died. There's a minority case here and majority. Why don't we look at it that for the fact that others are fighting for our own well-being, and then we stay mute? Is that not witchcraft in broad daylight? That is this issue.
Yeah, stay mute. There are ministers who have been making statements
without portfolio, statements without anything concrete on the ground, with commissions that are redundant. Those are not moves. Now we need concrete moves. Okay. If we don't find that, we are only blowing hot air while things are going on, and we are wasting government's budget. But not that there's a backup tribunal coming. You know, they hear very well. In that backup tribunal, all those involved on both parties will be at that backup tribunal. But those in regime will take the lion's share of punishment. It's a fact. Unless you die, if you don't die, backup tribunal is coming for crimes against humanity. I have told you.
Yeah, talking about urgent action that needs to be done, what would these actions be?
Mr. Lee, before I come to that, there is a question that you asked Apostle, and I want to be sure that you read the Post newspaper of Monday, And there is a write-up that Yuri Makini summed in the write-up is, the post said, as Parliament kicks off March session, Anglophone crisis is not on the agenda. I just want to believe that if 62 parliamentarians took up their pens, wrote out of Cameroon and said the Anglophone crisis is very important and that America should not come in, we're thinking that the March session of Parliament will be a moment where Parliament should also do what people like Joseph Weber did.
Tomorrow we are going to discuss on that.
Okay.
We are focusing on the Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we are talking about the urgent need. What needs to be done?
Yeah, I think that what needs to be done is the fact that, first of all, we need to accept that people are killed every day. We need to accept that children are raped every day. We need to accept that a lot of Cameroonians have left their normal habitat. If you take a fish out of water, Mr. Leonard, and you put that fish on land, give that fish all kind of gold, that fish will not survive. If you take prints out of land and put prints in a river, give me everything, I'm not going to survive. I just believe that the first thing we need to do is that we need to accept that there's a crisis. It's very true that a lot of ministers before now used to say there was no Anglophone crisis. Progressively, they accepted that there's a crisis. Let us accept there's a crisis, first of all. Let us accept that people are killed every day. And when we do those things, let us accept also that what we envisaged, or what the president brought up, from the 30th of September to the 4th of October in 2019, called a major national dialogue, did not actually, because the objective of it, the president said it, I'm using his words, that the major national dialogue top on the agenda should be the Anglophone crisis. If we left 2019 and we're in 2021, yet people are still being killed, like my brother Fcfa said, that there were gunshots in Bamenda today. Yeah, and now if we still have gunshots in Bamenda in 2021, when there was a major national dialogue in 2019, after which so many commissions were created, and that it means that we did not solve the crisis. So the urgent thing is, Mr. Leonard, is, I think that when the representative of Pope Francis was in Bamenda, alongside the Minister of State, Secretary General of the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, he said one thing. Pedro Parolin said that if the crisis should end, first, there must be need for a dialogue. There must be need for reconciliation. It means that he's saying that there are people who have been killed. It means he's saying that we should come together as a family, Mr. Leonard, irrespective of where you stand, irrespective of where we are today. When I look at what is ongoing in Cameroon today, we shed tears. Because when you go to Bonaberi, we are in Douala, you and I, just go to Bonaberi. Go there, for instance, around 11 p.m. and see what is happening to people in there. There are a lot of guys who don't have where to sleep. They sleep by the streets. There are a lot of young guys who pick bottles in the bars. They don't have where to sleep. And they just do. There are people who wash plates around restaurants because they need just a plate of food. Those are the realities of the war. And these are people who used to stay in their villages, and even if they eat just cocoyam and oil, the day goes through. But now, life in Douala is very expensive. So I just feel that the urgent thing is, let us admit that the major national dialogue did not yield fruits. Let us also admit that there is need for a major, it is need for us to talk. Because if you are dialoguing, look at those who took part. There were 8 commissions. Look at all those who headed the commissions. There are ministers and ex-ministers. Who was one of those who represented a commission who was actually maybe somebody who came from the other hand? Because we have 2 camps. It will cost the head of state nothing to say, okay, Sisi Kwayutabe, it is very true that you were talking separation, but I want to talk with you. It will cost nothing. It will cost nothing for the head of state to say, okay, Mancho BBC, you came out in Bameda, you came right in a coffin and said, okay, you're demanding for this. I want you to go back home. I just feel that if we start accepting some of those realities, because these are things we've been saying since 2016, if we can accept some of those things and we put them in practice. The military, it's very true that the military, like the Minister of Territorial Administration, she put it that is professional, but the war cannot be solved from the war from Mr. Leonard. The war can only be solved from what the international community has said, from what everybody has said, that there is need for us to look at each other in the face, say, I offended you yesterday, what do you want? If the president of the country could say in front of Mo Ibrahim that I know the problem in my country, 80% wanted to take away 20%, it means he knows the problem in Cameroon. Why not solve the problem? Let us admit there is a problem. Mr. Leonard, if I offend you, I should be able as a younger man to you to tell you, big brother, I am sorry. It is very true that a government would not succumb to those who took up arms, but it is not those who took up arms who are suffering, Mr. Leonard. You are not agree that when Crise and the family, when something happened and they arrested the sister and things like that, the sum that came from them was very huge. You start asking yourself where they're working, where they got that kind of money. Do you understand? So the issue is, at the end of the day, it is not those who took up the arms who are suffering. It is you and I. It is my poor grandmother who used to come to me and tells me, no, Prince, I want to go back and I want to do things. I want to feed my pigs. I want to go and work. They are losing those things. So we want to say that there is need, Mr. Leonard, for us to admit there is a problem. Look at each other in the face and say that there is need for a dialogue. Because what happened wasn't a dialogue.
Kenya Malamfi, many instances at the international level have called for another round of dialogue to move from what happened in Yaoundé. Do you also share that view?
They are not the ones to tell us, because us Cameroonians, we have always been dialoguing. We started at Fumban, we did it in 1992, and we are still dialoguing. They are not the ones to come and teach us. They should first of all handle their own problem. Look at the dirtiness that happened in America in the name of election. The Capitol attack. What do they have to teach us? So they have nothing to give to us. Everybody go and be we have come out to say you guys need to drop your weapon. No matter the threat that has come out from everywhere, messages, they'll call my elder brother in England, call them all over, they'll call. I am saying that all of you people are criminals. You need to drop your weapon first, especially you people in the diaspora. You don't expect somebody to come and say they should cut the hands of people's children. Say they should burn the cars of United Nations. Come out and say nonsense, and people are saying that we should dialogue with them. Why can't you people say they should dialogue with you people? Why can they not dialogue with us that we are in Cameroon, we are Republican? They should dialogue with people that were selling newspaper and now they now own houses of 700 million in America. They should go and dialogue with them? No. They are taking people's contribution, building big house. Is Chris Anu's causing of you, Masha, that they are doing money laundering, exploiting money from people and growing very well? They should dialogue with them. Why can they not go to the people are there in the country? They will dialogue with them, and everybody was invited at the dialogue, and Cameroonians will keep on dialoguing. And I still say it 100% that I will promote any dialogue, anything that does not have to do with separation and picking of arms. I will say it, I will support it 100%. If you are talking about your form of state, you are talking about everything, is your right. But separation and picking of arms is non-negotiable. It's not even something we should discuss about it. We are talking about elite. Our elites have not failed. Our elites have not failed. Because people in the country that their voice can be heard are scared to stand up and tell these guys in the bush and those in the diaspora to shut up. They are scared to say it. All our chiefs, we've insulted them, discredited them. Men of God came up, we discredited them. Our bourgeoisies, economic people with companies that they are suffering, having more effect even than all the common people because their company have been shut down. We insulted them and called them blacklegs and sent them away. And now we say that the elite have failed. What do you want the elites to do? Politicians, they have done everything. How many times have Nijon Fundi been insulted? How many times have Cardinal Tumi been discredited? And we come here to say our elites have failed. They haven't failed, except we have some definition of elite, who we consider elite. Or maybe when they talk about elite, some people want to figure it out to say maybe CPDM elite or whatsoever, but they should be clear because our elite have not failed. We should be honest to tell these people to stop it. If you are speaking in public and you've never told these guys with arms to drop their arms, you are a collaborator. you should tell them to drop their arms. That's the first thing. Any other thing, we can fight it in a Republican way. So, dear Cameroonians looking at me today, I am saying it. Everyone you know that speaks anywhere on TV or radio that have not asked these guys to drop their arms, they are hypocrites. Because these guys with arms are killing your brothers, they are doing everything with you people, and you people sit quiet and they come and say, they are not going to school. The House of Commons have said, this one have said this. They are hypocrites. The first thing is, we are supposed to be Republican. Drop your weapon, stop about the issue of separation, then we can fight. We are Cameroonians. We can fight ideologically on whatsoever thing we want. Since this crisis have been going through, to be honest with you, things have changed.
Robert.
Privileges have been given to, let me not say privileges, but things have changed.
Robert.
English speakers of the Northwest and Southwest.
Robert, but are you also very comfortable that it's not been a key agenda at the level of the National Assembly or the Senate?
Anyway, everybody has his view. But we have commission at the assembly that are more powerful, that take decision more than the decision. No matter what they come at the center assembly, they speak, it will still go back to the commissions that are in charge for them to execute it. Maybe many people don't know, they just want to say central house. No matter what they come and discuss at the central house, it will still be handed to a commission. That we have a commission at the assembly that is in charge of decentralization. No matter what they say there, it will still go to that commission. And that commission will execute it.
What are you saying?
These commissions now, they are there and they have been discussing backstage. All parliament. Oh, you are backstage with them and you are in their commission. You see, hypocrite, these are the things we talk. Are you at their back, their various commission?
Kedia.
It's very hypocritic. I said they have not spoken at the center house, but they have their commission that they discuss about it. Somebody tells me that in those commissions they have never discussed about it. Are you in those commissions? These are false information we give to Cameroon.
Are you there? Are you yourself there?
Many of them have said it on TV. Many of them. Of course. Like Honorable Ngala said it that in the back commission they struggle as parliamentarians of the Northwest and Southwest region.
Okay, please.
The questor, Honorable Njingu Musa, is there, which is somebody that was with him last week. Many of them.
You've made a point. Let us just go through the release. The release also says that the subcommittee agrees with witnesses that as a member, the Commonwealth of Nations and the Francophonie, alongside Cameroon, Canada could play a stronger role in helping to end this crisis. How can they do this? How can Canada do that?
Canada can do that. Canada is part of the Francophonie, which is a huge company of nations, and it's also part of the Commonwealth.
Okay, they can lobby both sides.
They can lobby both sides and then bring a, how do I put it, a multilateral combination of most of these nations together, and then they can now file a motion and insist and press either the UN or any of these bodies to carry out actions to stop the crisis. You know, a parliamentarian in France said the government of Macron has the capacity to stop this crisis, but because of their personal interest, Macron has refused. Now, how can Macron have capacity to stop crisis in a country controlled by President Paul Biya? And you tell me that Robert Malanfe will sit on this platform and tell us grammar that does not have any foundation? How do you explain that? Oh gosh, I'm bubbling. I'm bubbling. He says that they are discussing what is killing people on backstage. Backstage. People are dying on front stage. They are discussing what is killing men on front stage, on backstage. This is the government we are into. The government that discusses front stage matters on backstage. Then the person he's calling that they have been discussing is a person that came to parliament this year. Galajala came to parliament this year. Wait. And the crisis is 4 years old. But the man who is talking about it came to parliament 6 months ago. Is to tell you how is to tell you how those are the people who are feeding you. You are here to package their names. You are also a commercial agent of the CPDM party. You've come to sell some products, and those are the names of the product you are selling here. Keep selling. You will sell, and very soon those same products you said will bite you. Let's keep that one aside. Media is a platform you can say whatever you want. La Francophonie has a lot of nations. Commonwealth has a lot of nations. And Cameroon and Canada are the only two privileged countries in the world who have this connection on both sides. If the Canadian government is given the privilege to lobby on both sides, they can assemble a huge number of nations that can file a motion that either La Francophonie or the Commonwealth or the United Nations will be left with no choice than to engage procedures in order to bring this crisis to an end. That is one of the things I think that if the question you asked me, I've been able to answer. Now, to get back to what I want to correct what Kedia was saying. Kedia said they should tell these boys in the bushes to drop their arms. That we are not telling them because we are collaborators. Nobody ever woke up one day to pick arms. It takes an action to provoke a reaction. The arms is a product of an action. Let the action stop, the reaction will stop. Nobody is a dunce or an idiot or a nincompoop in this nation that you will come on TV platform and try to make us feel as if we are inferior. We were matured. We were not babies that this thing will be told us like stories. We were matured when the crisis started. I was already a matured man as a father. So I will not be told how the crisis started. It takes an action to provoke a reaction. If you want to stop a reaction, stop the action. So when we stand on the platform and we are trying to preach that they should come on the table to dialogue, it's not because somebody does not have grievances. You cannot be pouring fuel to an already ignited flame by insulting and humiliating people who have lost loved ones, displaced families, lost education, lost finances, lost lives of their family members, and they are reacting out of anger and bitterness. There are many persons who were quiet at their own end until the military came and killed their innocent members. They were forced to pick arms. Do you think that everybody that is in the bush deliberately wanted to carry arms? It was because they were tossed at a position they could not take it any longer. So when we are talking, we should be pacifying our statement on platforms in order to make them see reasons. You convince a wounded man to see reason with you. You don't impose. That's diplomacy. When we come on platform and try to intimidate people already wounded, you're only igniting more flame. You're pouring more fuel to already ignited flame. So I think when we come on platform, we'll tell those guys in the bushes that please, we understand your grievances, we understand your pain, but the measure you are using to stop the problem is not the right measure. Don't tell that they are criminals. Don't tell that they are this. There are many people in that bush who are doing an act of revenge. And if there is no action, there will be no revenge. So I think the media is a place where if we want to properly use the media, we should use it as a place to try to coordinate people's mindset and even try to plead with people to see reasons with what we are talking about. We don't come on platform like this and try to inject more fire to the heart of people already wounded. It should be corrected.
Okay. Yes. The release further states that as such, the subcommittee shares the view that the government of Canada should rally allies through multilateral organizations to call for an immediate ceasefire and an end to hostilities. Can they do that?
Yes, it can be done and done well. Now, when it comes to international politics and international diplomacy, it's something which the regime barons have not understood. I'm surprised most of them have gone through Iraq, but Iraq has not gone through them. That's why you see my brother ranting here. Now, you get to a point whereby people think that Cameroon is so powerful that no nation can put Cameroon to order. Those are errors. Libya once thought of like that. But little did Gaddafi know that when the worst comes to the worst, there are some measures that will not be respected when some countries want to call the shot that enough is enough. It's the same scenario with Cameroon here. Now, if you look at like what you are asking here, what they just mentioned there is what can be done. If they could decide to get to other countries, they could decide to put up, and what are the measures? Now, look at what is coming to the Yaoundé regime, which they don't know. Because you think that you can use arrogance and maintain a war for a longer period of time. Now, when you use that arrogance, what will they do? The measures are simple. What we are getting here is the diplomatic phase. what you see the House of Commons putting in place and getting to other phases, what we call the diplomatic phase. There's another phase that comes in which will not be diplomatic any longer. That has to do with sanctions. When you start hearing that government officials who have accounts abroad or they have been banned from traveling to Canada, banned from traveling to this particular nation, this nation, that's how it comes gradually. Before you know, you start hearing that their accounts have been frozen. Before you know, you start hearing that there is a multi-joint task force that is moving into the conflict area. That's when you start knowing that the grammar we're blowing here, you get to a period where we'll discover that we don't have what we call monopoly of violence to do it to the extent that we think we can do it because we call ourselves sovereign state. Look at the situation. When we talk about sovereign state, I have even the impression that some of these CPDN guys don't even understand what is meant by sovereign state. Because if you sit and somebody makes a declaration in France and he tells someone that I am the one who ordered a release of person A or B in the country, which actually happened, it's a blow on the sovereignty of the so-called Cameroon. That a president made it publicly that is the one who caused somebody to be released just at the request, and the person was released. It tells you that the sovereignty we are blowing grammar here, we don't even have it, because if we're talking about economic stability, you're talking about a level of education which is independent or the like, we'll be talking about that kind of a degree of sovereignty. But where we are, imagine that even toothpick that my man is blowing grammar here, we cannot produce. And you're talking about they should go and solve their own problems. Look at an issue. See the arrogance. Cameroon wants to teach countries established in democracy how to carry on with democracy. When democracy is a borrowed system of government, not even part of Cameroon as per se, it's a borrowed system we are borrowing, and then somebody sits on the platform and he tells you that they should even come and study democracy from us. Do you see witchcraft in borderline? When God wants to be angry, when the God wants to be angry with you, they just take wisdom away from you. You start talking like uncontrollable weaver bird. Before you know it, you're already in the net. So these are the issues we find here. So what Canada is doing is very clear. That message, I will plead, Yaoundé regime, pick the press release from the House of Commons serious. Because your days are numbered if you don't take it very, very serious. Because, as I said, crimes against humanity have already been established. It's a war. It's on both sides. It's already been established. And whether we like it or not, if you start seeing a country leaving countries from borrowing money for a stadium and then going down but to banks, know that the center is gradually losing its gravitational force. I don't know if my brother here is understanding the rhythms. But then, as arrogant as the system is, they will blow grammar until they only find themselves into the grave. They start saying, had I known. Now, when the time comes from the letter we're finding here, already lobbies are going on. If you see a French parliamentarian talks, you see the House of Commons in Britain talks. Now, this one, House of Commons in Canada is talking. When the Congress the Congress House in America has spoken. These are powerful houses. And again, we had another parliamentarian in Germany who spoke of recent. Now, I am surprised that when these things come in, we are not understanding that the game is fast changing and it might not longer be business as usual. So at the end of it, the moment people continue to that, because what is the essence of a government? The essence of a government is to provide security and ensure the well-being of the people you are governing. The moment you start falling short of that, sometimes you could be given benefit of doubt to amend it. But what are we seeing? We are seeing that they are no longer willing to amend. Can you imagine that someone tells you that discussions were at backstage at an issue that people are being killed, and he tells you, no, this parliamentarian discussing backstage? We are not fools to be deceived here in Amasa. I don't think we have become nincompoops of the first order that people will be telling us grammar here on air and at random. And I have the impression that even the Robert himself does not understand how the National Assembly functions. I have covered National Assembly for not less than 10 years, opening and closing session. Probably I'll find time and educate him on how they function. When he says that, no, it is a subcommittee that is supposed to handle. Things are sent in, they are sent to subcommittee, and they come back to the General Assembly for endorsement. If he does not know, let me begin to educate him how National Assembly functions. So when you sit and you're commercializing people's names on air, because you get peanuts from one parliamentarian to the other, and you make them watch TV, so you know that you are the Lord who has come to put their names up, all of them are sleeping MPs.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Okay, Pro Kitoko, good evening to you. Tungwe Ngole Epie, good evening to you. Ta Jacob, Ni Abakwa, good evening to you, Mbu Agbo and Ayong Franklin. Good evening to you guys watching us on social media. Please, can we, please. The release further states that it should mount an international campaign pressuring the government of Cameroon to allow the establishment of an independent fact-finding commission of inquiry to investigate the conflict, including the atrocities and its root causes. The government of Canada should also consider, alongside international allies, sanctioning those responsible for atrocities and severe human rights violations through the justice for victims of corrupt foreign officials.
Mr. Lue, I think that when you look at what has been ongoing in the two regions of Cameroon, at times it becomes very difficult to ascertain who has done what. That is why I think that when you talk about a fact-finding mission, it's very correct, because I'll give you a very simple example. When you look at the 4-month-old child who was killed in Moyoka, there was a lot of controversy. At one time, the father of the child, Matambu, said, my daughter was killed. I'm quoting the father, that my daughter was killed by the military. But the Minister of Communications said that this man used to be a CDC worker and was a combatant who had dropped his weapons. So his former colleagues with whom he carried arms came back to say, okay, you dropped. They came back to revenge. Now, when you have this controversy on the story, because on one side you have this, on the other hand you have the same story, that is why they are talking about a fact-finding mission. So at one time we have to know who has done what. When you look at Florence Ayafo, for instance, it's very true that in one morning they just got up and they discovered that she was butchered. At one time, Mr. Leo, when you listen to those videos and the pidgin that comes out from it, Mr. Leonard, you agree with me. You were in the Southwest. You grew up in the Southwest. It's very true from the Northwest. But you will agree with me that there is a difference between pidgin that comes from the Southwest and that from the Northwest. And pidgin that comes from somebody who is French speaking. When you listen to some of the videos and what those people who say, you want to say that, you're tempted at times to say that those who are speaking are not necessarily Bamenda people.
Okay.
So
you are saying that those who killed Florence, Ayafo.
I'm not saying so, Mr. Leonard. I'm not saying that they are separatists or the military. This is what I'm saying. I am saying that when they talk about a fact-finding mission, they are extremely correct.
Okay.
They are correct because we have seen the separatists celebrate for have killed people. I want to remember that when a plane was bombed, is it in Bafut or in Batibo? I remember that if not Crisano, there was this thing they said they did it to show their wealth. Now, we have also seen the military. The only area where the military has openly admitted, Mr. Leonard, that they were responsible for the killings was in Garbu. That was on the 14th of February. And this is when the Minister of Communication had denied. This is when the man in charge of communication at the Ministry of Defense, Serge Atomfak, had denied. This is when even the man in charge of territorial administration had denied. But when the president said, okay, I want a fact-finding mission and I want the truth came out. So when they are saying that they want a fact-finding mission, I think it is correct. Because what is ongoing in the Northwest and the Southwest, Mr. Liu, it is at times very difficult. Why? When Boko Haram came to Cameroon, I think what they used to say is, when you keep a lot of beards and they grow so much, they start saying that, okay, you are a Boko Haram. When you used to cover your face so much, they say you're a Boko Haram. When you go to Bamenda, Miss Alina, I was in Bamenda in December. At times you even move with these guys, they come and separatists, you don't know them. So, what is ongoing back? You know a soldier. How then do you say, okay, Far Avis is this, Prince is this, Malafa is this? I just feel that we need a fact-finding mission in the Northwest and the Southwest region. Why? Because when those who come up, I was watching recently and I saw that the lady of Ridak, Marceline Kamer, I saw that she was giving an international trophy, an award recognizing what she's doing. But this is a lady that has been indicted severally by the government, because according to the government, she is supporting the separatists. We saw how the lady that is in charge of Human Rights Watch, Aledia Alagrosi, we saw how the government said she is of bad faith, she's this. I just feel that, Mr. Liu, we need, because there is something that we always say in Cameroon and in Africa, that nobody points their house with the left hand. The day Cameroonians will be shocked is a day, for instance, my brother, Robert Malafe, will sit there and say, no, the separatists are correct. Or, this action that happened, for instance, in Bamenda today, it is the military and not the separatists. So we need somebody to come inside and act as an umpire. We need somebody to act as a referee, to say, okay, Prince, you said this is your exercise. Let's come even in communication. That's why the National Communication Council is there. They do 3 things. They tell you your problem, they tell you, they warn you, and they sanction you. So we need a referee to come inside.
Okay, they're calling for justice and for authors of atrocities to be sanctioned accordingly. But how do we apportion blame to who without an investigation? A proper
investigation has always been done, and the government has always acknowledged it. There are wayward members in the army, and they have been punished. The government have never said the army is perfect. If we are honest, we should say the government has always been honest. The government have not said they are having a perfect army. In every profession, there are wayward people, and they'll always do what they are doing. At the level of the separatists, I say it. Those in the diaspora are thieves. I am saying it. I am not inflaming anything, but I'm saying that those in the diaspora that were poor and wretched, with no job, are now rich. I am saying that they are thieves. About those in the bushes, I am saying it that they have been manipulated to pick up arms, and that they should drop their arms. It's not anything about inflaming anything. I will not want to go about to talk about those that feed from Yaoundé. It's not everybody that talk that you think does not feed from Yaoundé, but I don't want to go into that debate, because nature will expose certain things when the time comes. Talking about you were just praising anyway. I don't want to go into that. It's not there.
No.
All right, allow me to
I'll
speak.
take exceptions to your
Allow
words.
me to speak.
Listen.
Allow me.
I take exception to
You
your
don't
words.
tell me to listen.
But I'm saying that I take exception to your words.
You don't tell me to listen. You listen because I'm the one talking. When it's time for you to talk,
But
talk.
listen, I take
You
exceptions.
don't tell me to listen.
I
When
take
it's your time
exceptions to your
talk,
words.
talk. So for
When
now,
you say that I
don't
feed
tell
from
me.
Yaoundé, I take exceptions from.
Did I call your name? Are you
You
guilty?
did not, but you say I praise people.
Did I call your
It's
name?
Ngala parliamentarian. He's my
Are you
parliamentarian.
guilty? Did I call your name? How many
From
of us
being
are
a
here?
national parliamentarian.
How many of us are here? We are
take
5 of us
no,
here.
I take
Why are you
exceptions.
guilty?
I take exception.
Why are you guilty?
Dr. Fukale
Can we-
Cameroonian
can we-
listening to us now, you just got what I was saying, that nature will expose certain things. I didn't call anybody's name here, but somebody is feeling guilty. That's why I said nature will expose those that feed from Yaoundé. I didn't call anybody's name, but now I'm being attacked. Anyway, I still have the floor, and I am speaking. Talking about justice being put, yes, justice should be put in place. All those in the diaspora will answer for their crimes. We have videos of those that say hands of children should be cut off. We have them. We have videos of those that said the cars of the United Nations and the rest should be burned. We've seen all those things. But after that, what I want to be clear with it is that we are speaking. People are falling down. The way forward, first, is the stop of violence. Now, the military is there to carry out its order that it took an oath to protect the sovereignty of the state. It is true that people that have pick up arms may have their own reason, but it is against the law. They should drop these weapons, and we will keep on negotiating and talking together. We have been talking. It's not the white man that will come and tell us to talk. We have been talking. And we are still talking, and discussion is still going on within ourselves and with those in the diaspora, and we will keep on discussing. So the way forward is that those with arms should drop their arms. And when it is being dropped, you see that everything will go on smoothly. We've seen generals that are so-called ambassador generals that have dropped their arms. We appreciate them. They have become Republican. I want to also thank the people of the Northwest and Southwest region that in their numbers voted for the CPDM, giving their trust to the President Paul Biya to lead them towards this bondage. And that is what he is doing. So we are saying that the government and the separatists, the separatists are doing their worst, but the government is there to put in order. But when the time will come, justice will be given.
Yes. Now we need to move on. The crisis is ongoing. People are dying. We saw what happened in Bamenda today and what is happening in the Southwest on a daily basis. What should be done? Do we keep looking onto the international community to come up with similar releases? Because I'm sure very soon the Congress of the United States is going to issue something similar to this. Very soon the EU Parliament also is going to issue something like this. We have seen videos emanating from the UK where it is. But what should be the clear way out of the situation?
We cannot underestimate the different gatherings across the nations of the world because diplomacy may be slow but sure. Now, my problem is for how long shall we wait for diplomacy? Why souls are dying every day? Desperate problem needs desperate measures. Souls were dying in Rwanda in 1994, and we kept having the write-ups from different organizations in the world until Paul Kagame himself rose up as an individual and then faced the crisis and dealt with it squarely. The international body has not solved any major crisis in Africa, as I tell you. I can give you as many other crises have occurred in this Africa, and the international body has not played any pivotal role. So counting an international body is like fetching water with the basket. That's a problem. Counting the international body is like fetching water with the basket.
Which African problem was solved by Africans themselves?
The case of Adama Barrow, who attempted, Yajame attempted to change control and stay in power. It was ECOWAS. That ECOMOX that were sent to kick Yajame out of the country. Adama Barrow came to power. That's a point. Very clear, solved by Africans. You go to Mozambique. The crisis about the rebels that stood against the state. Alberto Chisano was the one that rose up as an individual and solved the problem. The case of Jonas Savimbi in Angola. It was Angolans who solved the problem. It wasn't an international body. So we are not talking Africa as if we are strangers to this continent. We know practically what has been happening here. Now, if they say Cameroonians can solve this problem, then I think we have to be sincere because too much lies has been told as far as the crisis is concerned. The first thing that sparked up this crisis on television was when the Minister of Territorial Administration stood up and said there is no Anglophone crisis. The reality was that there was a crisis. A problem neglected or ignored cannot be solved. And that statement sparked off a movement in the Northwest. That is where we are today. Certain things have equally happened in the course of the crisis, that the government has come through their spokesmen and lied publicly. Going back on the side of the separatists, I am a Southern Cameroonian. I cannot guarantee that the separatists have been 100% correct. They have also told severe lies that have helped to ignite the fire of the crisis. I'm a neutral individual and a political analyst. I say what is on ground. I don't speak based on where I'm standing. I speak on what are the dynamics on ground. The separatists also have played a very pivotal role in igniting the crisis. The idea of coming on air to announce that people's limbs and fingers should be chopped off is a very bad omen. When you look now that two opposite forces are telling lies and the power in the middle are the ones who are suffering. Children died in Garbu. The government came out through the Minister of Communication and lied publicly that it was the Amber guys who did it. But when it's funding, a committee was sent to do research, it ended up the military committed the crime. Children died in Kumba. We are yet to know who committed the crime. The child that died in Moyoka, we are yet to know. Florence Ayafo's case, we are yet to know. Now, everybody, I have seen crisis. The Al-Shabaab in Somalia, when they kill, they own up. The Al-Qaeda, when they kill, they own up. The Am-Rasul, when they kill, they own up. The Greater Sahel for Islamism, when they kill, they own up. What crisis do we have in Cameroon that government does not own up, separatists does not own up, everybody is dumbfounded? This is what makes the whole system totally complicated and confused. Because we don't even know who is the criminal now in place. So I think that if these truths are not told, and we know the people who are responsible for each of the acts, then we are going to be caught in between the blues. Because we definitely don't know who to address. They say they are coming to judge who? They are coming to judge who has owned up for which crime? If they are coming to come for justice, who is going for the problem is, my cry is this: people are dying, and it looks like it's a ghost killing them, because nobody is owning up for killing these people. A Congolese general was arrested recently and taken to the ICJ because he owned up when he was carrying out atrocities. In Rwanda, a general was caught up there, taken. As I talk to you now, there is a Central African general who is owning up for burning cities in Central Africa. Who is owning up? Who is owning up in Cameroon? If International Court of Justice comes to arrest, that they want to give the separatists and the military who have committed atrocity justice, who are they going to address? So the whole thing is jumbled up. My fear is this: even if the international community comes to arrest, they won't know who to arrest. Because the government will claim to have disciplined the people who carry out wrong acts on the government side, who will own up on the other side of the community atrocities. Now, those who are at the diaspora, they are only giving instructions. The people who are committing the crimes, they are on ground. You will not judge the man who gave instruction, and don't judge the man who carried the gun. That is the problem. So let us come back as Cameroonians and understand. I have given an actual platform the socio-economic, educational, cultural, and infrastructural damages that this particular thing called war has cost this nation. If we look at what we have lost so far, compared to what we want to achieve, even if we achieve what we achieve, it cannot be commensurate with what we have lost so far. Why do you invest in a business that at the end of the day you are the loser? Because I'm asking that they should give us independence. The Post wrote something. It said living in riches, sitting on riches, but dying poor. There is gold, iron ore in Wirikum. I think if you go to the Post, you will see it. There is petrol in Manu. Now, we are sitting on these riches, yet we cannot enjoy it. The world does not even give us a chance to exploit it. I'm sure if it's a message that we wanted to pass across, we have passed that message sufficiently, and everybody has gotten the message. And if the government pretends not to have gotten the message that comes from Southern Cameroonians, then this government is a government that does not have conscience. Why don't we accept the fact that we have already passed across our message by venting our anger? Why can't the government also accept that we have gotten your message by the expression of your anger? Let us now keep aside the anger and then come to a table and negotiate successfully to stop the crisis.
Okay, is that where you stand to? You think it's time for both sides to agree that I was angry, I wronged you, but we need to move forward?
Yes, it's really time. It's really time. And we talk about this because we say it's time because of the damages that have been caused already. But the issue now is, are they willing? Because as I said earlier, I don't want to mix my words here, because if we have non-state armed actors, we have the government. They don't have the same capacity on the field, both for conflict resolutions and also for facing each other. That is why, because the government has a higher military might and the non-state actors, or what the Southern Cameroonians don't have, that explains why they go in for guerrilla warfare. Because they cannot have what it takes to stand face to face. Now, when it comes to resolving the conflict, all in all, the non-state armed actors or the Southern Cameroonians, who equally have another role they are playing, cannot independently decide exactly how the war ends. But the government that has the knife and the yam can decide to queue up. I take, for example, as I said all the time, There are times if I'm in the house with the house of my child, sometimes after beating the child, I bring back the child closer. It's not because you are foolish. Sometimes you tell the child, okay, I'm sorry, don't cry, it's okay. When you are pampering that child, after the child had done something wrong and you trust the child, it doesn't make you a coward. All is because you just want peace to reign for the time being, so the child should not feel that you are just threatening the child for unjust cost. This is what the government needs to do. If we sit at a point in time and we're talking about reconciliation, and you have statements and arrogance of this high magnitude, you are criminals, you are terrorists, you are this. If people come on platform and they're not denouncing this, it means they themselves are either supporting the... You know, these are statements that, you know, the regime has a system. Once you don't talk in line with the regime, they say you are amber. They say you are this. And they begin to tell people. That's how they function. It's an archaic doctrine that they grow in it, that if you cannot move in this direction, it means you are either supporting the separatists. You see the point? So, at the end of it, it is true that it is time for us to go in. But the truth is that this regime in place is not willing. Mr. Leo, this is the bitter truth. If regime accepts a clean and clear dialogue, the form of the state will be touched. I'm not talking about my mouth. And once the form of the state is touched, all those prefect, sous-prefect, and governors who lords over the people and usurp power and connect them to Yaoundé for central governance extortion, it will no longer hold. There's no way. That's the reason why you see them dodging from the central issues of the form of government. And I'm sure people like Robert understand that they have decided to play the slave part of it. And because they have been taken as slaves the other way, that's where we find ourselves. And so they will call you that you're amber because we are not moving in line with their archaic ideology that does not put... Now, imagine if somebody sits on the platform and tells us we have been discussing. The issue in a conflict is not discussing. The issue is, what is the discussion bringing forth to end the conflict? If you sit as a governor, as a minister, as a CPDM stooge, and you discuss for 4 years running, and people are still dying, something is wrong with your method of Brugata. It means that you have gone mentally deranged. I'm sorry to say that. That's the more reason why we think that the simple way forward is that now that the government is not, I've said the regime is not willing, because if it takes the form of the state, it means you remove powers from the central government in Yaoundé. It means that whatever you get from the resources will no longer be getting directly under their control. Employment will have another turn on them. You will not need to chase fires in Yaoundé, because as you chase fires in Yaoundé, corruption is part and parcel of their system, the regime system. So they will want to avoid the dialogue because you will touch the form of the state. That's where we are. That's why I said that the case in Cameroon is complex. The conflict in Cameroon does not resemble other conflicts in the world. You will bear with me, because when you come to analyzing it, it has complexity, it has complexities. Because the same scenario you will find in the Biafran situation in Nigeria, when you get along the line in the middle of it, it will not give you the same scenario with the Anglophone crisis here. So as a result of this, the only way forward, as I said earlier, is a third party that's required. I'm not talking what I'm about. If somebody tells you that, any moment Yaoundé tells you that they're coming for dialogue, for the state to come into play, and they are even afraid of federation or the like, it means that even they themselves will be in trouble, because they'll be losing so much. And who are those behind this? The people who are behind this are the colonial masters. Élysée is playing a greater role in caging people like Robert and the regime for us to be where we are today. Okay. We need to fight that.
Yes. Beyond this international calls for a ceasefire and a host of others, what do you want to see them do practically to get the conflict to an end?
Mr. Liu, I believe that we've seen what happened. Apostle said, we saw what happened with Gaddafi. It wasn't the people. We've seen, you'll agree with me that in Africa, it's almost like a tradition that once there is elections, the incumbent wins. It's not the people. We saw what happened in Cote d'Ivoire. At one time, the president said, okay, I will not run for elections. And some days after or some months later, he comes back and is running for the same elections. He's not the one. And that same president is married to a French woman. So I just believe that it is something far from talking. It's something more of action. And Mr. Leo, there is something that I just want to clear a bit. You know, what has caused a crisis for this long time is the fact that we have extremes. While living in a country like Far Avis was saying, and Apostle the consultant we're living in a country whereby, won't you just say the truth? If I were to ask Robert, for instance, the government, the CPDM, the government doesn't belong to the CPDM. Ngala Gerard is a parliamentarian of the people and not of the CPDM. That you should. I'm coming, sir. I'm coming.
No, you don't do that.
As you know, listen. You said that. What you said before now is that if you're talking, I shouldn't talk, and now that I'm talking, you shouldn't talk.
It's disrespectful. It's not manner.
As who are you?
What do you think you are? Why are you guilty about the issue? Did I call your name?
Please,
I said people are feeding on Yaoundé. Did I call your name?
Can you please,
Can I talk?
Robert, yes, just go on.
Okay. What I'm saying here is that we're living in a country whereby once you want to bring up your ideas subjectively, there are those who feel that you are amber. And at one time, when you say things that maybe you want to say is the government. So the problem is, when you ask me what do I think...
The population is caught between...
It's caught, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you ask me that, what do I think
extremes,
the people should do is, it's an issue, first of all, of leveling the ground, Let us have a level ground. A level ground whereby they shouldn't say that my media prime supports this. They shouldn't say that Prince supports that. They shouldn't say Apostle does this. I remember there are outings that Apostle has done on this channel, and there are people who came for his head and said, no. I read some of the messages on social media.
He's been paid.
He's been paid. Those are the words. And when you have people sit on the platform and said, there are people who talk and benefit. What do you mean by that? That if the president gives my money, I should not take the money? What are you saying? That Paul Biya is not of Cameroon? Or if I'm in Galatia and says, Prince, take 100,000, I shouldn't take? What are you saying? You know, ignorance at times is not good. And I think that we need to level the ground. Because if we do not level the ground, there is a problem.
You've made your point.
Yeah, we need to level the ground so much such that people should be objective. Objective at the level that Prince speaks.
We should accept our faults.
That is what I'm talking about, Mr. Leonard. Because
Nobody is a saint. Yeah.
That is the issue. What is happening today in Cameroon is the fact that if tomorrow Far Evis just says anything good about Paul Athangaji, for instance,
they'll say
he has been bought over. If the next day, yes, I saw you showed me the messages, Apostle. Now, when, for instance, you have a call and somebody invites you to Yaoundé, you're feeding fat from the regime. So if Kum Leonard is invited and somebody appreciates him for the good job, he should not.
No, I've said it severally. I've said it severally. When they say, I've said it severally that if I if I see the money, please, I'll go and get it now. I need the money. Sincerely, I'm very broke here, but if I see the money, I'll go and take. Yes.
I just want to add to what Prince said. I think the CPDM has to have a, how do I call it, a convention with their panelists on how to educate them to preach peace. Because I think they are igniting this war and inflaming it more than any other party. When you come on TV platforms and you meet an already wounded individual and you insult him in his injury, the Englishman says you are pouring salt to injury. I think what should be our message now is a message of reconciliation and peace. What should be our message is not to blame parties, is to talk about the damages of what has happened to us. We should talk about the consequences and the ravaging effect of what we are going through to the economy and every domain. If at all we come to that consciousness, I'm sure even the persons in the bush, if they see the impact of what this thing is costing, not just us, but everybody, they will see they need to drop down their guns. And if also we talk to the government, not as if we are blaming them, but try to make them understand to see the need also to bring an end to the war. We are standing on a neutral ground and we are peace crusaders. It is not insulting people. I can tell you that from people who have listened from, most of the people who pick arms now and went to the bushes are people sometimes who are only acting out of revenge. The English, they used to say in pidgin that Nyanga the sleep trouble, they come out of them. Some people have been quiet at their own end. And then suddenly, unfortunately, the military barge into a community and then suddenly annihilate an entire family. The lone soul that has survived in that family will be left with no choice than to pick a gun. So I think we should come on TV platforms to try to see how to explain the damages of this crisis and try to call the attention of both parties to realize that there is no winner in any war. At the end of the day, all of us Cameroonians are losers.
Kedia, there's need to tone down now. Yes.
You see, with the crisis, as we earlier said, people being extremists, that's the problem we are having here. In this same platform, I said, it's quiet. I didn't call any name. They told me that I'm talking.
No, that's not the point.
No, I'm coming there. I am coming there. Please don't let me. No, I am coming there. They say I want to collect. I'm commercializing the CPDM to get peanuts from the CPDM. That's what I said. I didn't answer. I didn't call anybody's name. I continue my analysis. I don't know why it's disturbing others. Let's talk now about the issue of peace. As we preach peace, the people are seeing. When we talk of peace, the people are seeing. But the main issue I know, maybe when I say it will be because I'm talking on behalf of the CPDM, but the main thing I'm saying is that when you castigate the government, like Mr. Fcfa here will call the government kangaroo government, call them terrible name. He is there. I'm not seeing him in set. I'm not seeing him being arrested. I'm not seeing it. Mr. Apostle is there. He has said things here. I've never seen him that a convocation has been given to him or whatsoever. I don't know. Except social media attack where we don't know where it is coming from. Because if social media attack was actually killing, on this platform, I should have been dead already if actually social media is supporting. So I am saying that
I'm getting confused here, sir.
All of us should stop blaming that the military is the government are extremists or blaming that the Amber. Actually, I'm honest with you. The Amber, they are extremists. Much more extremists than the government. Because I've seen people insulting the government. They are going on very well, feeling free. But those of the Amber, if you say anything, like some of us that say they should drop out their arms, they have another definition. We've seen our faces all over with red mark on it. I've seen my thread all over. But people that speak against the government, I've not seen any of them being arrested or any convocation. I've not seen it. So at the end is that after all this, for us to get to peace, we should also say the truth. The president, the head of state, said there is a problem. He acknowledged that there is a problem, and we are looking for solution. And the way to this solution first is for those in the bush to drop their weapon. When they drop their weapon, Cameroonians will keep on dialoguing as loving people. That is it. If they don't drop their weapon, the government, the military, which is there to protect the sovereignty, will not drop its weapon. As we are calling for peace, dialogue, and negotiation to continue, please, those in the bush, drop your weapon. I appreciate those that have dropped theirs and they have seen the light of being Republican. I appreciate them. So please, I want to take this opportunity again to tell those in the bushes, drop your arms, come out and give your view.
Okay, that's
you see, Prince, what's your problem today?
Is that
Did you miss me so much? There anything I say you come in? Are you the moderator?
Please.
You are not the moderator.
Order, please. Robert, what's the problem now? Calm down.
Everybody's attacking.
Calm down. Yes. No.
Because I'm not saying what people want to hear. And that's how it is.
Robert, please. At least respect me now, as a moderator. Yes, Apostle, at the level of the communities, away from the international level where we only get releases calling for ceasefire, at the level of the communities, what should be happening?
I'm sure if we are sincere, most of the communities are tired of what is happening.
Okay.
And if they are actually tired, there should be a response to that tiredness. Mm-hmm. There should be a manifestation. There should be a reaction to what is happening. Mm-hmm. You cannot be suffocating, you want to die, and then you are sitting quiet. The best way to do is to cry out. If you cannot fight, you cry out. I think it's time for our mothers. Like I said, there is a portion of the Bible that talks about the wailing women. women who wailed for the city of Jerusalem when things go very, very bad. And I'm sure right now it's time for the wailing women of the Northwest and the Southwest. I like to give references to other revolutions. There is this Orange Revolution that took place in Ukraine. A lot was done against the people. It was the church that rose up, went to the street, refused to go back home. Women refused to take their bath. Men refused to eat. Others were coming there, making tea and giving to those who were at the roadside. Almost about 3,000 to 4,000 persons spent a month sitting on the road. There was no movement, no cars, nothing, no bikes.
Until the problem is solved.
Until the city mayor was left with no choice than to come out and address the people. If we can be patient for people to die, why can't we block the roads by sitting down and stay of hunger? Choose to block the streets. That's what we call civil disobedience. It is not disobedience in violence, it's civil disobedience. The parents of Northwest and Southwest, the fathers, the mothers, the children, should sit in the streets and say, you better come and kill all of us here, or you give attention to this thing killing us every day and night. There are many ways to catch a rat. If one way doesn't work, which is the violence they've taken, then they should go through civil disobedience. If they halt all the streets of Northwest and Southwest, and we keep our party differences aside, let CPDM, SDF, MRC clamp down the idea of political party and see ourselves as the suffering masses of the North and the Southwest. Let all churches, business organizations, don't take arms, don't take tires, don't burn tires in the streets. Let them go and sit at the middle of the road. Bike riders, civil servants, bus drivers, let us sit there and say, if the president doesn't do anything, we will not come out. In a month's time, there will be a solution. Even the international body will jump into this country. That is what I think that the lone, frustrated, abandoned people who have no help from anywhere, they say in pidgin, car way no get tail, now God the drive and fly. The Southwesterners and the Northwesterners have become that cow that does not have tail. Let them call God to intervene. It is time for them to sit in the streets in Boya, in Limbe. If 1,000 people sit at Half Mile, 1,000 sit at Bongo Square, 1,000 sit at Commercial Avenue, 1,000 sit at Kumba Market, 1,000 sit in Moya, 1,000 sit in Ekona, that they are sitting at the center of the road where no car or bike will be able to move and refuse to eat and stay there. I'm telling you, I've seen even the prisoners, they have threatened to go on a hunger strike. The government has reacted. What if the masses go on a hunger strike? It will call the attention of the state. We are like orphans that have nobody to help us.
You think the population is actually abandoned to itself and has its destinies in the hands?
Yes, the population is totally abandoned. And, we hold the destiny in our hands, it is true. But now, where is the political gimmicks coming in? You know that Yaoundé has a system of divide and rule. And that is what keeps most of those in the French-speaking African countries in power. What do they simply do? They meet people who are supposed to be clamoring for things to change, like Robert, for example, and they give you some peanuts and tell you, don't move in line with what that man is saying. Those are the kind of category of persons that, if you want to take a move like what Apostle is saying, this very category with elites who go behind and take peanuts will come and start and tell you that the country is moving well. There's nothing wrong. So you see where we are. That is the devilish philosophy of governance, which is divide and rule from the pit of hell and Lucifer. That's why I said all those supporting this kind of system, they will not see heaven. I'm very serious about it. Heaven is far-fetched from them. Because if you look at the issue, Tango will be coming to another topic called Senegal. You realize that people have the power
we'll discuss Senegal
to make things move. But the moment we sit, look at it. If you hear Robert talking here, I'm not sure his family is very okay. I am not sure. Unless you pretend because they are watching, even from Bamis, from the village. I am sure what we are going through as orphans, according to ourselves, he is surely going through. Surely Prince Joel is going through. No, excuse me. I'm talking about people who come from the English-speaking area. Unless you want to tell me that you come from the English-speaking area but above the sky. But if you come from the areas where I come from, it means that even your extended families are surely going through what we are going through. So if we sit here and a move put in place for us to come out in a civil disobedient manner, not destruction, nothing, but just making the government to pay attention, it has a lot of things. But where do we come from? There are these kind of people who have the people to market on air, who come and give them money. Now go out and put another group to say, no, we are against this kind of group. And they give them peanuts. Once they are giving peanuts, finished. You discover that they will now look, they'll be calling us on the street as rebels, as they call now. They say either you are Amber or you are secessionists. That's why you see, if you look at what coalition for negotiation and coalition for dialogue and negotiation is advocating, they take the diplomatic part of it. Because in the coalition for dialogue and negotiation, they have realized that if you are relying on the home government for this kind of moves, it will not move. Take, for example, at what happened at Tahrir Square. Just that civil disobedience. Remove Hosni Mubarak, who had even military more than what Cameroon is claiming to have. Because I heard Kenya say something here that we can even offer some of our bees to go and help America. Can you imagine? You see how when people are drunk, mentally deranged, you hear the kind of things they say. They say that B can go and assist America. Can you imagine? Anyway, let's leave that aside. So the only way forward, as we're looking at it, is that if we want to come forward for these things to be resolved, it is through the method we're putting here. You could put that in Senegal, it moves. You put that in, that's why I said Cameroon has peculiarity. The crisis in Cameroon, if you succeed in analyzing it, know that you can analyze any conflict around the whole world because the complexities are unique to the foundation of the conflict we are having here. Now, take for example, if you look at just by going to the street, not that you have even your brothers who are in the military themselves, who will be at the forefront to crack you down. If you want to even talk about civil disobedience, as Apostle is talking, the moment Robert hears, he'll be the one to rush over to someone to say that bring water cannons because those people are planning to commit war crimes. In fact, he will explain your crime that before you know it in the morning. That okay, I don't tell you, follow me to the station. So these are people who have sold their consciences to the devil. Now they are moving now on another platform whereby if it would take for a whole 8 million persons to survive from this kind of system, better they stand and see that they don't survive. Forget to know that as the boat is sinking, they too are in that boat sinking alongside. You can see how sometimes it's like a rat that comes to a particular boat in swimming, and then the rat is supposed to be in that boat, they start chopping the boat. Forget the way water comes to the boat, both the rat and the occupants of that very boat are going to sink. That is what you see some of these persons who have been schooled in the demonic school to propagating. So at the end of it, Mr. Leo, where we are heading to, we are at a level whereby we are exposing the evils of those who have kept us to where we are today. These are demons who have been sponsored from the pit of hell, and not to speak the truth, but they tell you they are speaking the gospel truth. Look at the kind of truth people say that they are preaching here. That we are on air, and we think that some persons, as Apostle Aberali said, if you look at it, I have said earlier in one of the on this platform a year ago, that military needs to go back to school. Okay. Why did I say so? The more people you kill, the more people, sometimes you come in an incursion and there are collateral damages, the more you find some of their relatives joining, not because they are for independence, but because they have a purpose of revenge. So if you look at it, sample many who are in holding guns. It becomes complex now.
What you are saying holds water, but I'm sure Apostle Ambe also raised the fact that when separatists also kill many persons, they lose supporters, eh?
Yeah, no, it's obvious. It's on both sides. It's on both sides.
Yeah, so
it's on both sides.
This point should be raised.
If you take on both sides, if you look at it, as I said earlier from the beginning here, that the atrocities are on both sides. The war crimes against humanity is on both sides. Yeah. But as I said earlier, that when the judgment begins,
the greater responsibility
goes to the government, because a composed government has a responsibility to protect its citizens and give them better living standard.
Okay, this one says, Chai Apostle Ambe, you are full with wisdom. I support what you just proposed. Alfred is writing from Limbe. Good evening to you, Alfred. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and all the panelists. I just wish to appreciate Apostle Ambe for his mature analysis. He speaks with a lot of wisdom, and I think this is what Cameroon politicians are lacking. We have a pertinent issue at hand, and I think the core value as of now is peace, and not quarreling like what some of your panelists are doing out there. Please, I think such debates need well knowledgeable and wisdom-filled people like Apostle Ambe, neutral people and not supporters of separatists and the CPDM. Thanks, Prince Robert is writing from Boya. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. This is Derek writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Derek. Prince Joel, there is need for the population to see what they can do to help themselves, because like almost everybody is saying, they're caught between two extremes. But do they have what it takes to call both government and the separatists to halt hostilities? Because we are talking about calls that are coming from out of the country, but can the population themselves? We had a debate already on this.
Sure, Mr. Liu, I think that, yeah, the population can, just like Apostle said, the population can actually compel both the separatists and the government. But I think on this part, the government, because, Mr. Liu, I've always said on this platform and other platforms that if there is an Anglophone crisis, there is a government. The government has started by denying it. The government, like Apostle said, I just believe that, like one of the viewers said, Apostle said it all, because we have a group of guys. If you even go to the First World War and Second World War, go to the First World War, you have a group of people who were just there, who started with bow and arrow, with catapults, and later on, they're using grenades. That's how the Anglophone crisis started. It means that you have people who had, we feel that we have problems, and the government says the problem doesn't exist. And progressively, the people, some of them now, they come and do what they call avenge. They want to feel that my house, our house has been burned down, my whole family has been swept off, I don't have anything, I'm the one left alone, what do? I need to join these guys, because they are brainwashed. You'll agree with me that, Mr. Liu, those, during the First World War, or the Second World War rather, during the Second World War, those soldiers who left Africa and actually took part in the combat, when they came back, they acted so much in the spirit of nationalism, because they were telling their brothers, we should. The community can do something. Mr. Liu, today I was in Mbongo after Dibamba. I covered the story, and which I'm going to give you the story. It's a very good story.
Yes, I know Mbongo.
Correct. The whole workers, because it's to tell you that the community can. There are two things that happen. The guys are saying that they've not been paid.
They work for Sokapam?
They work for Sokapam. Irad.
Okay, Irad. Okay.
Yeah, they work for Irad. Now, they've not been paid for some time. And their money at the CMPS has not also been given. And now, because they have somebody who is a president of their syndicate called Jonathan, now, the boss who has relations in Yaoundé now frames up a story. I'm saying so because I'm invested. It's a story that's...
No, we don't have time. Just
yeah, but
come to what we are saying.
But what I'm saying is that the population, as I speak to you, the workers there have said they will not work until one, the guy is reinstated, one, and that their money that has been chopped off for this time is paid back. Now, that is the people coming up. And I feel that, like Apostle said, if we have people, I think that is what Fcfa's party was doing some time ago. But I think what they didn't do well was the fact that they announced. If you have people come up in Cameroon and say, okay, Mr. President, the killings are too much. Because take it or leave it, Mr. Liu, the issue is not the separatists. The separatists took arms. What pushed them to take arms?
Are you saying that because the government did not handle the issue, they should go on with what they are doing? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not encouraging people who kill people.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying, Mr. Liu, let me make my point.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. My point is this. My point is that the government has the yam and the knife. Okay? And that if the community sits up, you have people like Apostle said. It is true we've seen people have been tear gassed. We have seen even the national chairman of the SDF, John Funde. I remember he came one time at Mile 17 and said, okay, let us move from Mile 17 right up to the governor's office. The consequences were enormous. We've seen people who've come up, women in Bamenda, in Boya. There are people who are in prison today of the CRM political party because on the 22nd of September, they took to the streets because they wanted to move. So I just feel that, Mr. Liu, the community can, but their hands are tied. Why? Because we are living in a system whereby once you dare come up and criticize the government, you are a terrorist, you are an amber. Once you support the government, you are a blackleg at the part of the government. But I still feel that the community can do something, but their hands are tied.
Okay, but you are criticizing the government.
I'm not criticizing the government.
Yes.
For me, as I always say it has happened, and we have to look for the way forward. If we keep on doing blame games, then we will still stay at the same spot, and we will not have a solution to go further.
But you're also blaming, eh?
Yes, yes. As I always said, I have been saying it here, that when you are pro-government, they call you names now, demon, this and that. When you are not this, I really sat quiet when you read one of the message where caller wrote that I appreciate Apostle Ambe. He's not like the others that they are supporting Amber and supporting the government. That's one of the message that you wrote, and it kept me reflecting that what's the way forward? Supporting games, blaming games. We need to look for the way forward, and I still say it. The way forward is for those in the bush to drop their arms. If they drop their arms, we will keep on dialoguing and things will go further. Now, the truth is, since this crisis started in 2016, we realize that many things have changed. And the government has recognized many things. And people of the Northwest and Southwest region, they have their change and things are evolving. I think it's time for us to tell those in the bushes to stop. And about if the citizens or the people of Northwest, if they can move, yes, they can move. I remember the famous, if I'm not mistaken, was it 22nd September, where people came out from all subdivisions and divisions. I don't think anyone was killed that particular day when the masses came out. No one was touched. And we have also seen people going in the villages and chasing out amber fighters in their villages. We've also seen that. So I still think the masses have their place, and the masses is the last power of the state which they have. So because the government is there, because the masses are there. So I still think that the people of the Northwest and Southwest region have their own part to play. The fact is, we are, I don't think I'm not a separatist, and most of them are not separatists. So the aspect of separation is out. Now, if the aspect of separation is out, it means that those with arms are not there. Fine. I've gotten many proposals in this platform how the people can go ahead except through picking arms, which I still say that is democratic, is their view, is their right. But picking of arms is what I keep on decrying, because when these arms are there with these boys and the military is there to protect the sovereignty of the state, people will keep on falling. And the military cannot drop because the military is there to protect the state. So if we are honest, that is what we'll say. And I think that if that is done, then it will be a lasting solution to bring out peace. As Cameroonians, we have our problems. We'll keep on discussing, we'll keep on solving our problem to get back to peace. So that's my view.
Okay. Many persons, we have to end at this juncture. Many persons are writing to say they are glad to see the kangaroo man. Many messages are saying that we're coming. You far Evis Tayong, that they've missed you for some time. Far had other duties. He went to do some documentaries back there in the villages and get in Gunuku to have a real taste of what is happening. So he knows what he's talking about when he's talking the way he does. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program. We would have loved to discuss about Senegal today, but tomorrow we are going to be focusing on the National Assembly as the commence session. We also are going to be talking about Senegal, what went wrong with Senegal and what lessons to be drawn from what took place out there. Sad note, the Prime Minister of the Ivory Coast, we are getting information that he's no more. Ahmed Bakayoko is said to have died today, this evening. We are going to seize this opportunity to wish our sincere condolences to the loving people of the Ivory Coast. We want to say thank you, Apostle Ambi Valentine, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. It's always a privilege to contribute my modest ideas to the well-being of our country, Cameroon, Africa, and the world at large. I might not be what you want, but I think I'm trying my best. God bless you.
Thank you too, the kangaroo man, Fcfa, for coming.
Yeah, thanks very much. Just like the members of the party, CRM will be obviously a grand show in Douala with the coming of the first Vice President, Mamadou Mota, who had been released in prison and will be visiting the party here in the Littoral region, which all of us will be present. All the same, I think I'm glad being here today, and we shall continue to expose the kangaroo system until the right things are done at the right time. Thank you.
We equally want to say thank you to you, Prince Joel, for coming.
It's a privilege to be there, Mr. Leonard. We just feel that there is one aspect in Cameroon. We feel that peace is a commodity that all of us need. When people die every day, we should not celebrate. We shouldn't celebrate.
Okay.
A special good evening to the peace-loving people of Misadia subdivision.
Okay, good evening to all. Congratulations to you all. Special greetings to my friend Mr. Tayong Elvis. I miss you and your wisdom and other wisdom, brother Apostle Ambi. Please, you guys, keep emotions behind. Let's face reality. Otherwise, one morning, even those in Yaoundé will find ourselves in the bushes. Luis, writing from Bomenda, please greet my friend Mr. Elvis Tungo Luis. Okay, thank you for coming too.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll call on the people of the Northwest and Southwest to be very resilient at this moment, and they should be aware that the President, the head of state, is doing everything possible to bring back lasting peace. We've seen how everything is reducing there and peace is coming. Thanks for inviting me once more.
Okay, we want to thank you all, Desmond and Eli Bertrand and Noel. Thank you all for producing the program this evening, and to you, Didi Banderas, the big guy who has Banga School out there in Kumba, and the population of Kumba. We send you greetings, and not forgetting you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising our work out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.